Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next The Dragon Prince videos. So, with all the Avatar stuff going on, Dawn of Yang Chen, the SDCC news we got from Avatar, I didn't have an opportunity to talk about the Dragon Prince San Diego Comic-Con news that came out. But it is pretty exciting because of course we are getting closer and closer to Season 4, Book 4 Earth finally being released. It's been a very, very long time. But it is definitely, we're in the hype cycle now, and it's basically just, I guess, we had SDCC, I guess there'll be some more news at New York Comic Con more than likely, and then the show is going to be out very shortly after that. So let's cover some of this stuff as a bit of a sort of a Season 4 preview type situation. Prior to this, they'd really only teased it a little bit with the whole Mystery of Aravos thing, which was nice to open communication once again after so long. But basically all it told us was that, hey, Aravos is in the show. Shocking, right? So let's get into some of this new stuff here. So pretty recently they put up this one, Season 4 Key Art, Mages. So a very cool sort of poster for the season, highlighting, you know, Aravos, who knows where he is, pulling the strings of basically everyone and affecting everything, all to try and free himself from whatever sort of a prison he's in. So you can see here our older Callum, we have Claudia here, and of course the resurrected Viren. Lots of cool stuff going on going into this season. So I'll definitely, just as we get into this, just praise the whole idea. Like, one, the Dragon Prince has a website, more than Avatar Studios Avatar seems to have, even though Avatar Studios seems like it's planning to do, in a way, a lot more ultimately than the Dragon Prince is planning to do. So top marks for Dragon Prince for having the website and having lots and lots of news articles now that they're finally ready to talk about the season. So it's just really easy to just reference all this stuff straight from their own website. No need for like leaked information or like an over-reliance on the fans to sort of gather information together. So that's very, very nice. So yeah, here they have it. Season 4 coming in November. No exact date yet, but I assume we will get that either in the lead up to New York Comic Con or at New York Comic Con, but still not too far away. So there's three things that they cover here in this post. There's one, a Book 4 overview, basically the summary of the book, what they're going for here. And then there's two clips that they showed. One was related to the Comic-Con panel itself, and I think the second clip was they had like a IGN segment where for the IGN coverage at Comic-Con. I think that's what happened. But anyway, this is, I think, probably the most exciting thing in terms of just cool overall description of what we're doing in Book 4 Earth. 2 years have passed since the Battle of the Stormspire. That is Book 3. For the moment, hope has prevailed. Humans and elves now enjoy a tenuous peace for the first time in centuries, and our heroes have grown both wiser and stronger. With Amaya at her side, Queen Janai has built a home for the Sunfire Elves from the ashes of the corrupted core. Callum is now High Mage of Catalyst, inheriting Lord Viren's previous responsibilities and possessions. Ezran has fully stepped into his role as king, with Soren and Corvus serving diligently as his crown guard. Zim is no longer just a hatchling. Bait continues to break records for jelly tart consumption, and Rayla, on Callum's 15th birthday, convinced by a vision that Viren was somehow inexplicably still alive, she left everyone she knew behind to search for the man who captured her family and hasn't been heard from since. Meanwhile, under the direct guidance of Aravos, and after years of preparation, Claudia has resurrected Viren at great personal cost. But the spell is temporary, and he only has 30 days to live unless they free the Star-Touch elf from his mysterious prison. With a new ally, Terry the Earthblood elf, at her side, Claudia is determined to follow the clues Aravos has left her, and will stop at nothing to locate his prison in time to save her father. An impossible task now faces our heroes once again. They must race across the wilds of Zadia. So I think that's a little bit of a typo there. They must race across the wilds of Zadia against whatever time, I don't know. Race against time across the wild. That's probably what it is. Race against time across the wilds of Zadia, deep into the Drakewood. overcoming new dangers and forging unlikely friendships along the way to stop Claudia from unleashing Arvos onto the world. So that's what's actually going to be happening in book 4. That's the premise for the book. Nice to actually have a sense for where exactly we're going, because otherwise it just felt like, okay, some Rayla setup, Rayla and Callum are going to be separated at the start, and we're going to do what exactly? Because again, Arvos is manipulating things from like the shadows, who knows where. Okay, Viren's back, but he doesn't look like he's maybe going to be in a position to do anything. So it's nice to know that, okay, the threat is that Claudia, in an effort to fully bring her father back, guarantee his resurrection, is going to attempt to free Arvos from his prison. That will get her father fully resurrected, but obviously the idea is that everyone knows there's much more to Arvos than meets the eye, and he is much more dangerous than anyone thinks. This can't be allowed to happen. Claudia is letting just the want to save her father get in the way of potentially putting the whole world at risk, which is great that they're putting Claudia into such like an important position as not necessarily like the villain, but she is positioned as she is about to make the mistake in a way, and that's interesting. So the question is obviously going to be, how do the various groups of characters come together, and when will they encounter each other along the way? And that like, are they just going to find out information and suddenly Callum and Ezran is going to be alerted to the fact that, oh, Claudia's on the move and Viren is back alive again, and so he's going to try and track down Claudia. Rayla, I guess we'll have to catch up to her at some point. What has she found out in the last 2 years? Her quest obviously is, I guess, to try and track down Viren, because Viren has, of course, her parents, as well as like her newer father figure captured as well, Runan. So those three characters are captured in the whole coin situation. So has she figured that out? Is she going to? It speaks to the idea of like, what has she been doing for 2 years? If she realistically has not found Claudia and Viren after all this time. So for anyone wondering what this stuff is all about, this is the plot basically right at the end of the first Dragon Prince graphic novel, Through the Moon. So if you want more details on that, like, just read this book. The newer one, Blood Moon Huntress, is just a backstory. But it very much helps to serve to highlight the idea that why they're sort of calling it like her family and not just her mother and her father is because obviously Runan is effectively another father figure to her. So it's kind of 3 family members she's really looking to kind of get back here. So the graphic novels are quite good. So I do definitely recommend them. So Callum is the High Mage. Makes sense. He has definitely proven himself a lot over the books with his magic. Makes sense. Will be interesting to see what they do in terms of like the world sort of politics and like how exactly the whole human and elves like sort of piece exactly works, because of course we haven't been introduced, I think, to like every different species of elf, or at the very least, even when we have, it's only been like maybe one character, so we don't necessarily know how like the leaders of each different kind of group kind of feels about things. And so in this one, it looks like, okay, we're going to the Drakewood, which I'm guessing is the sort of like Earth Elf territory. So we'll maybe get more of a sense for what's going on there overall. So obviously it implies Claudia has had like quite an eventful few years, preparing stuff, somehow communicating, I guess, with Arvos or the whole worm situation, the insect thing going on, to figure this all out. And now she knows what she has to do. How did she come into contact with Terry, the Earthblood elf, and what's going on there? So that's interesting. It definitely serves to highlight that it's not just like this dark storyline for Claudia about like losing herself to dark magic to resurrect her father, that there is this kind of more happier aspect. So it was kind of fun in the first clip to see that she is her usual sort of like peppy, unusual self, but there is this other darker aspect to it. So I like that they're keeping both and not just making it dark to make it dark, What else is going on here? Ezran everything else I think we more or less know. Zim is no longer just a hatchling, so that's a nice tease for like, okay, how big exactly is he going to be after just 2 years? I'm guessing he's probably big enough that like none of the characters are just going to be able to like hold him as such. But is he going to be big enough to, for instance, say like be ridden on by a character or something like that? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that. As well as just the idea of like, it's the Dragon Prince, mystery of Aravos now. We still are keeping in mind that the Dragon Prince is Zim. So will this dragon play a role in the story that's significant still? We'll see. Of course, everyone is waiting to see Rayla and Callum reunite. So it will be an interesting one to see in terms of like their relationship was working so well, but now Callum has just been sort of left in the dark. Like Rayla just left without really, saying much. So what's going to happen there? That's a fascinating one as well. It feels like it's sort of set up for everything to converge together. That, in a way, imagine they all encountered each other for the first time all at once. Like Rayla, Callum, Claudia, all their groups just come back together, and it's this shocking revelation of like, Claudia's here, but everyone realizes Viren is alive again, and then they figure out like, oh, Arvos is doing something here and needs all of this stuff to happen, because there's so much other stuff going on as well that they don't necessarily tackle here. Because this is obviously this idea. Arvos has been manipulating everyone. That's the whole idea of this. This is exactly what's going on. So, when will they figure out not to do exactly what is wanted? And it will be interesting to see, like, say, Viren. Viren, I think, is going to be fascinating in this season in terms of, I don't think he's really going to be in much of a position to, like, I think the whole idea of his character for this season is going to be, it's going to be Viren with sort of no position or power necessarily, but in a way just sort of happy to be alive. He's going to want, I guess, to be resurrected, but if he maybe sees the expense that this is going to have on Claudia, what it's already had on Claudia, and how this is affecting things otherwise, that's interesting too. So there is a lot to consider here for sure. Here's the first clip. Again, I'm not really going to play it here, but you can sort of see the idea. Viren wakes up, meets Claudia. It's at this point we get the reveal that, it's been like 2 years. We get the whole cocoon aspect that's going on. I guess the insect again is going to be the thing to sort of guide them to where Arvos' prison is, which I guess that probably will have to be at least the first mystery here, is just in a way explaining where Arvos is. Will we get the why it happened in the first place? I'm not quite sure yet, but it feels like, because it's Mystery of Arvos is not just the season 4 like tagline, it's the season 4, 5, and 6 tagline as far as I'm aware. So it is going to be 3 seasons exploring Arvos-based mysteries in the same way that the first 3 seasons were about, delivering the Dragon Prince back. So that's the overall plot. So they're going to have to do a little bit there before we, move on to whatever the final season is going to be. Then we have Callum here as the new High Mage. Interestingly, he has the sort of Arvos mirror here, which is nice. You get a look at his new design here, which I actually quite like. Kind of really highlights that, this 2 years is a very kind of key 2 years where he has very much gone from being like middle teenager to sort of being like young adult, basically. So quite a difference here. And it just means for a lot of the characters who are in or around this age, so mainly Callum and Rayla, it's going to be very interesting to see how they look overall. They're definitely holding back on the Rayla stuff, so it's going to be sort of exciting to see her again. But yeah, with this one, it's basically just some kind of funny Callum stuff, but the memory of Rayla kind of comes up again. But that, yeah, he's now in the sort of Viren position. And there's definitely a sense, I think they even like mirrored the shots to a certain degree, that Callum in a way is almost following almost the exact same path as Viren, and it's like, will he go down the same road or not? That's going to be key. The second clip is obviously the introduction of Terry, who is Claudia's boyfriend. And it's just, him introducing himself to Viren for the first time, and Viren basically not saying anything. All you really get, I think, from Terry in this one so far is that I guess he's nice, and they're going for this sort of like quirky, weird character in a way, like similar to Claudia to a certain degree. But we'll see if there's more depth to this character, in that he seems like he's fine being involved in this because he likes Claudia, so that speaks to something about him, that he's not scared off by the idea of all this magic and resurrection stuff going on. So we'll see if there's more depth to this character, but solid introduction so far. Then they also put up some screenshots here, so not too much to say about those ones. These are all from the clips. There's an Amaya shot. There's Callum with the kind of magic wings, of course. There's some more magic. There's some Sunfire elves doing some sort of a ritual kind of ceremony thing, so that will be exciting. Because, of course, again, the description mentioned stuff with them, and more investigation, and just the idea of, like, in a way, Callum pondering where Rayla is and the memories of her. Because which one is it? It's not patience. Is it? Yeah, it's inheritance, I think. This short story covers some of that. Yeah, the idea, it was impossible to say her name out loud. Rayla, it still hurt. She was gone, and Callum had no idea if she'd ever come back. And just this is covering the idea of, like, him, I suppose, early in becoming the new kind of high mage, and the idea of him discovering the mirror for the first time, and that being like a key plot point. So there's some very, very interesting things set up for the season. It feels like all they really have to do next is that, like, for New York Comic Con, I suppose the idea is, what are they actually going to show, if anything? They've already shown the first episode to people at Comic Con, SDCC. So will they just show the first episode again, like just a month beforehand, or will they show more like clips from the season? I think in a way all they probably need to do is do like a kind of Rayla tease, show a Rayla clip, and maybe part of an episode that maybe more focuses on what her story is. If they do maybe have a more backstory focused episode, I could see them maybe showing that one at New York Comic Con. But otherwise, I feel they just have to do their exact date announcement. It would be very cool if they got across the idea of like a rough estimate for season 5 as well, just to highlight that you were left waiting for season 4 for a very long time, but that season 5 will be closer than you think. Kind of like the way season 1, 2, 3 were. That will be a very important thing to do, I think, also. Other than that, it feels like maybe show off, tease some other new characters. Because so far, what we got from SDCC was more of just a basic idea of, here's the general gist that you're going to have at the end of the first episode. That's more or less the way it comes across here. That the first episode is more of just a intro back into the world now that 2 years have passed. But then what's actually happening here? Will we get maybe some concept art stuff about the sort of Earth aspect of the book and more on the Earthblood elves, which we don't know too much about? That I think would be very cool. Otherwise, like I said, the reveal of like Rayla, if she has a new design, is going to be a big one to match the Callum redesign. I'm excited. I'm not like overly excited in a way just yet. So that's good, because we still have a few months to go, but I am excited for the show to return, definitely, and get back into it. I definitely feel like I will do a rewatch of season 1, 2, and 3 at some point. Not sure what I'll do in regards to videos on that. Maybe when I start, I might just do a sort of like, when I rewatch season 1, just do a quick video, giving my thoughts on it, watching it again after a while. and do the same for season 2 and 3. So just maybe like 3 videos ahead of the season, something like that, without committing to like too much extra content. But just in the comments, I guess, what are your thoughts going into season 4? What are you most excited for? How do you think that this is all going to play out? How do you like the look of season 4 so far? But other than that, that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.